All right, Mr. Raptor, which side would you like to start us off with?
Well, give me a sec here. I got to get the game to finish loading, and I've got some kind of weird artifact on the top of my screen. Of course I do. So probably gonna have to spend most of the game looking at your map on the screen today, Zap. Why don't you go ahead and take us in and talk about the '07 line? I'm sorry, the KSC lineup.
KSC. Sure. So KSC is bringing a Montana and a Kremlin for their battleships. For their cruisers, we see Salem, Goliath, both of which have super heals, Des Moines with radar, and Henri. Now, this is exciting to see, Raptor, because we talked before about Henri, especially with a lighthouse build. And for those viewers who don't know what lighthouse means, it means you spec for maximum damage and minimum concealment as a result. So you can be seen from super far away, just like a lighthouse. And
Indeed. Go ahead.
oh,
What do you got?
I got to finish up our destroyers.
Oh, sorry, you got distracted.
I
Once you were
got
done. Go ahead.
distracted. For our destroyers, we've got a Gearing and a Z-52 and a Marceau, which is like a miniature cruiser, really.
All right. Opposing them from the South spawn, we have defending champions 07. I'm sorry, they're not defending champions. My
No.
apologies. They are not. They are, they have won many times, not defending champions at the moment. This is, of course, 07. They are bringing Ohio, Kremlin, Salem, Moskva, Stalingrad, Double Marceau, Shimakaze, and Ragnar.
Mm-hmm. Which is also like a miniature cruiser, but with a heal.
She kind of is. She kind of is. Ragnar really is a little bit of a light cruiser. We're seeing a Ragnar Marceau pairing here early into B. That's Pieces of Pizza and Eagle Lance. I'm not surprised, right? Ragnar and Marceau can make very good pairings together, Zaf, because
Mm-hmm.
Marceau, of course, comes with a lot of innate speed. Ragnar able to flex her speed boost to keep up with a Marceau when she wants to in short stretches. Early in a match, really beneficial to pull that off. And we see here 07 flexing that out to an early cap.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see how Aussie Zeus and the Zed is taking his time getting into place. He wants to make sure, I love it, Hatake Hiyoshi's Des Moines is able to get in closer. So I think that's awesome. We'll have to see what he's able to do with that.
I really like this play from KSC, right? Bringing the
Mm-hmm.
Des Moines in. It feels a little ballsy, right? Because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they know he's in there, and you know that the Stalingrad is looking for him. That's Ace. We know that Marin's Ohio's looking for him. Look at all the hate Hatake is drawing here.
Oh yeah.
07 well aware of how strong this position is. If this Des Moines is allowed to get in and linger here for a while.
Well, it's interesting too because I talk about this position on my Zach chat where we talk about the maps, and this position here is a very tenuous one. I mean, it can be strong, but more often than not, we've seen ships just get farmed out from here, and I think we might see that same thing happen here.
Well, we know it certainly can happen. Hatake has managed to snuggle up and find some good cover here, but losing about half his HP for his trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're 07, you're going to struggle to maintain control of these caps potentially with Hatake there and the radar. Now you're probably going to be looking. My assumption is they're going to be looking to shove Peyton's Kremlin up the 10 line possibly and see what they can do here in order to kind of dislodge him.
Yeah, the interesting thing is the KSC's positioning is assuming a heavy fight at A, but 07 has done the opposite. So they sacrificed all that hit points to get Hatake's Des Moines in that position, but he's not really able to do anything to impact the battle because there's nobody for him to shoot at or radar.
Not at the moment, but just the threat of the radar being there, and of course 07 knows that he's there, does mean that he exerts some control over that portion of the board, right? Even if they can't spot him.
Sure.
Let's see. And for the moment, they can't, but they well know that he's there.
Oh, absolutely. And you can see, I mean, Shimakaze Frice is getting out of dodge now. He's like, well, what's the point in sticking around against 5 enemy ships, maybe 6?
Indeed, there is a lot of KSC firepower coming down the 1-2 line, Zaf.
Mm-hmm.
So we've spent a lot of time. Go ahead.
Aussie is able to back into B cap now, but of course, Eagle Lance's Ragnar is just going to hold him in place, and unfortunately, it means both of those assets are going to be kind of stuck for a little bit.
Eagle spotted, pops his radar so he can pick out Aussie, throwing some shells that direction here. Aussie knowing that he can't really do much with his HE against Eagle Lance's Ragnar. Of course, Ragnar's midships armor just thick enough that a lot of those a lot of destroyer caliber will bounce or shatter off of it,
Hmm.
and so you can't get much. Now the torpedoes coming in for Eagle are going to be the interesting thing to watch here.
Yeah, he's just lazily reversing and turning. He'll be
Looks
fine.
like he's got a gap as he backs in there. Yep, he's good to go. We've spent a lot of time looking at B, Zap. Why don't we have a look over at C, see how things are shaping up? Peyton's Kremlin swinging very wide as John the Ruthless's Salem has ducked in and grabbed that cap. '07 working on about a 140-point lead here as KSA finally wrests control of A away.
Right, right. Meanwhile, I mean, Elgar's in a pretty strong position over at A in the Moskva. At this point, I mean, KSC is going to have to make something happen. Eagle Lance now getting farmed by
Hmm.
Aussie for free and smoke.
Indeed, they've got eyes on Eagle. I'm assuming we know if Hatake's radar is up. I assuming that's how they've got him lit.
Okay. Look at, by the way, look at Triarch's positioning in the Marcel. Look at him. Look how far back he's reversing right now.
Yeah, he's been a little aggressive there, and he's beaten up his counterpart pretty well there, Serpent Lord. Right,
Yeah.
Serpent Lord down a little below half. Triarch definitely coming off the better in these early exchanges.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they get it once they make contact, right? And you can see Serpent Lord looks like he's using some radio positioning torpedoes right now to try to maybe get a lucky hit on Triarch. They know he's there. They clearly know that
No
he's in this
dice,
general area.
but
Nope.
they do detect each other right there. Both Marceaus getting a look at each other, and just as quickly, both of them accelerating away, wanting no part of that shenanigans.
Yeah, absolutely. And now looks like must have been detected for just a second. You could see some Montana shells and Goliath shells coming in.
Eagle Lance back into B, holding those points back. Each team ticking up a cap here. At a 130-point lead for '07, but still too early to call anybody's game. I will say that '07 seems to have been trading better early, Zath, right? The early damage
Hmm.
to Hatake, the damage that Serpent Lord's Marceau has absorbed are definitely kind of two, what I'm looking for. The two, I mean, noteworthy health losses. There we go. I'm trying to get that out there. Serpent Lord
Right.
now coming under fire again. Battle over B kind of continues. Still a stalemate here. Pieces had moved up to kind of support Eagle a bit, but now he backs out of the cap.
Hmm.
I presume that Aussie's Hydro is down at the moment. Eagle Lance is not detected in his position on the far side of the B cap, and he would be just now. Oh, okay. Nope. The Hydro is up. There it is. They've just now got Eagle. They're driving out of that position. Dastard's got a shot coming in here from the Kremlin. This could be big. Not as big as they wanted it to be. They did hit him
No.
with a shell, at least one good overpin. Ragnar popping his heel, not worrying about it. Does mean that if they can drive Pieces of Pizza out, that will allow them to possibly start picking up B. Pieces is lit now, and he
Hmm.
finally gets a look at Zeus, who immediately smokes, so they can try and push the Marceau out and make up some ground here. Most of the fighting over B here, although Fryce's Shimakaze, well over on the 2 line, has also taken a good chunk of damage here or two. Now, I was going to start to say that I was a little surprised the KSC push kind of down the 1-2 line seems to have evaporated a bit, but '07 rotating the Ohio over here, that's Marin, they've done a really good job of kind of putting a stopper in that, right? They don't
Right.
own the A cap, but the KSC forces over there cannot continue to move any farther until they make some, they get some kills. And of course, who wants to push into a Shimakaze throwing torpedoes in your face?
No, but I mean, it almost feels like that needs to happen. If you're going to go heavy on one side, you got to make something happen with that heaviness. Otherwise, you got to rotate. And I don't know that they're doing that. So, I mean, I like IM co-ops on Re kind of just trying to farm the Moskva from range. That makes sense.
Yeah, but
But
he's not having a whole lot of luck. He seems to be
right,
that the Moscow seems to be coming off on the better of that engagement. I don't know if it's the battleship, right? Because that's something else that KSC doesn't have on this flank anymore, and that's
right.
Dastard's Kremlin that has rotated back to mid, right? They don't have a battleship. They seem content to just sit and hold the cap while nothing else changes really. They just want to rack up the points.
Right, and I mean, I kind of feel like Man with an RX-7 could use to move up with the Salem, right? I mean, he's got the opportunity to take the next island up. That would definitely push the Shimakaze Fries back south again. It might give Floops' gearing a little bit more wiggle room to maneuver. So I think there's a lot of possibilities that just aren't happening over at A. Meanwhile, the battle at sea has pretty much just been all oh 07, just kind of almost the opposite of what happened over at A. Salem just sitting there as well with Destroyer to help.
Well, it seems pretty clear that the KSC game plan at sea is to kind of, you know, kite and hold and everything. Now, one of the things we haven't talked about, right? Peyton's Kremlin was once on the 10 line. They brought him over to mid as well. He's now lurking along the 7 line here on the southeastern edge of the B cap, ready to pop Hitake's Des Moines like a balloon as soon as Hitake gives him a shot.
Mhm.
So the B cap is contested. Again, oh 07 working about a 100-ish point lead for the moment. No kills for either team, and we're just trying to figure out, what's going to break.
Yeah.
Eagle Lance, Eagle Lance and Pieces of Pizza keep getting into gunfights with Dastard's Kremlin, and you have to wonder, like, surely that can't last forever. Surely sooner or later that falls apart on them.
Right. Of course, Eagles got the fancy heel, so that helps. But you're absolutely right. We need to see some sort of a break happening someplace before we can see this battle. But with only 8 minutes left in the battle, it's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, my screen on my monitor here, my screen is a little messed up. I was actually gonna have to ask you about that, but yeah, I may have to restart my client in between games. A little bit of a mess
Roger
here on my
that.
monitor for some reason.
That's all right. In the meantime, we're trying to troubleshoot my mic. I think my mic volume might have been too loud, so
Yeah,
I changed that. We'll see if that fixes. But
the
in
more
the
I
end, go ahead.
the more I look at this A cap, the more I really think that this is going to end up breaking for oh 07, right? I really feel like the Ohio's firepower over here is eventually going to make. Oh, look at that co-op taking a big hit there,
Oh yeah.
right? Like, just eventually this Ohio is going to be a game changer on this flank. I cannot imagine a world where co-op can maintain this very long.
Now he's on a fire. Well, that's what I was getting at with trying to get Man with an Arc 7 to move up. I mean, if he moved up, then Bryce can't be so far up. He can't maybe spot co-op as easily. Of course, he's probably running Lighthouse, so that doesn't matter. Bloops has the ability to smoke across the way and all that, but he's not. So
Marin does take a couple of torps, but again, it's all really about that on reposition starting to fall apart on these guys.
yeah, yeah, co-op's gonna have to just back off. He's dark now thanks to Fry smoking, so he can afford to just kind of back off and try to get another heal off before he can start shooting.
Now, we've missed a little bit of this. GM Schwartz, oh my goodness, John the Ruthless getting punched in the nose by the Montana here. Shadow
Yep.
Wolfish. Now, KSC seems to be making a play at sea here, right? They've shoved Schwartz in here. They've brought Shadow Wolf back down the 10 line a bit to get some shells onto John. And they're sitting in the C cap. So right now, B was not going anywhere. C was not going anywhere. KSC has closed the gap. They're under 40 points and gaining here now with 6 minutes to play.
Right.
Another good hit on John from Shadow. A bit of a waiting game here to see if the Montana can come out the better in this exchange. For the moment, he's not. You have to wonder if Schwartz is thinking about making a move here as his teammate slowly burns to the waterline over on the 10 line. They're not able to really get John off the board here. That Salem super heel keeping him in the game.
And the Shadow Wolf is just going down, just like that.
Yeah,
There he
just like
goes.
that. There it goes. First kill of the first blood going to oh 07 as now Schwartz moves up, but it feels like this is coming a little too late, Zaf. Like
Mhm.
maybe they should have made this move about 60 to 40 seconds ago just to give John something else to shoot at, something else to distract him.
Right.
Still, though, for the moment, '07 clinging to a 50-point lead as KSC continues to tick up A and B as C remains contested.
Well, at this point, I mean, it's pretty much '07's game, although KSC does have the advantage of the two caps. So I suppose in time, KSC is going to win, assuming that nobody else on KSC dies. I say that as Schwartz is about to be Marceau rushed, I think, with
Well, it
John the
looks
Ruthless
like they're gonna,
Salem.
yeah, it looks like they're gonna double rush him here. They're gonna bring, well, I thought about that. It looked like maybe they were gonna bring John and the Marceau, that's Triarch, around at the same time.
Oof.
Ooh, some big Citadels forward on Schwartz as he backs out. Is he gonna live? He is. He's barely gonna sneak away on 1,000 HP, but here comes
Here
the
comes
Salem.
Triarch.
A couple of HE salvos should end this conversation, and Schwartz will go off the board
There it
right there.
is. Now
Just as
that's
KSC snuck out to a lead, '07 snatches it away with their second kill.
right. Not only that, but they secure the C position now, so they will be getting point
Yes.
gain from that.
Yep. But again, KSC for the moment continuing to take up more caps. So again, 4 minutes to play. KSC has time to close the gap. They are ticking up points twice as fast. But again,
Yep.
'07's got more pieces to move around the board now. They're going to be able to react to do something now.
Oh yeah, and you can already see that as Peyton is just saying, "All right, well, time to shove into B."
Yeah.
What's he
Like
afraid of?
at this point, you can literally run Serpent Lorn down with Triarch, and you see that kind of starting already to happen here. Triarch
Mhm.
looks like he's got his speed boost running. Yep. Popping his fancy Marceau speed boost, he's going to go run Serpent Lord to ground. Just going to go find him, get in a gunfight with him, get his team to back him up, and get
Mhm.
that guy off the board. Another kill, and '07 will be absolutely sitting pretty if they
Oh,
aren't
absolutely.
already. Be
Right.
contested now. Yep, there goes Peyton. Shove the Kremlin into the B cap, dare them to come dislodge him, and that's going to be a tall order to say the
Yep.
least.
And here comes Triarch on Serpent Lord with, of course, John the Ruthless of Salem in backup. We always say this in World of Warships, especially competitive. There's
Mm,
the kill.
yep.
You don't want to take 1v1s. You want 2
No.
v1s or more.
Yes, you want to be engineering fights where you have an advantage. A fair fight is nobody. Like, who wants a fair fight? No, 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 no.
No,
You
no,
don't win
no.
wars by you don't win wars by winning by taking fair fights.
Right.
Less than 3 minutes to play. KSC down 3 ships. They shove Dastard's Kremlin now into the middle of the board. KSC desperately needing a kill. If they can bag a kill at the right time with the
Oh,
right ship, they still have
oh,
time to
there it is.
snatch a lead change away.
Oh my God, guys.
Oh no.
Price takes out Floops with a torpedo salvo.
Oh
Ouch.
no. That is a catastrophic loss for KSC here. Down 4 ships now. They had a good chance to maybe potentially steal a kill here with this Dastard push at B
Mm-hmm.
as a quick kill would have allowed them to do something, sneak in another sneaky play somewhere or something. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen here. We're seconds away from an '07 win in game one.
And just like that, that seems to be about it.
Dastard,
Now, you can see
Dastard pushing right into Marceau torpedoes,
Man with an RX-7 finally moving
and
up,
that's game.
but way too late. Yep, that is game.
Yep. That's game. Game one going to '07 here on Islands of ISAF. Now, this was their map pick. KSC got to choose their spawn. So we'll be looking in a little bit as we head over to game two. We'll be going to Northern Waters, which is KSC's map pick. I'll be
Mm-hmm.
curious to see if they can come back and claim the map that they picked. Now, in your opinion, Zach, look back at this game real briefly. What do you feel kind of the turning point, the big moment there?
Uh, the big moment, of course, is what happened over at CCAP. As soon as we had that one ship go down, even though KSC had the point lead, you could see that '07 knew, right, that
Mm,
they just needed to take their time, work things down. Taking down that Goliath, man, that was crucial right there.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think once that happened, that was it. GG. It's just a question of how much longer until the game's over. The big
Yep.
problem for KSC, the inability to convert A.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, well, let's kick it back to the studio, and Bogsy and Sconce will chat at you for a bit. We'll see you guys back in game two.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Well casted. So big first game there. '07 one victory closer towards a t-shirt. And yeah, it certainly seemed as though KSC actually they actually played a very, very good game of sort of boxing '07 out of the A cap, where they started gaining points for quite. I don't think they stopped gaining points from that cap throughout the entire match. They managed to block those two DDs out of the B cap. There we go. We've got the fancy replay bot. Might start popping up there. What's that?
Well, it's just looking
Regular
at the map right now.
Apologies,
Bot is
not the
still
replay bot this
processing.
time. The bot is processing. So KSC did a great job of boxing '07 out of the A cap. They even moved that Kremlin away to reinforce a different sector and still did not lose A to Freiss' Shimikaze. However, at C, it seems like that's where things started to fall apart as they lost their Montana to John the Ruthless's Salem. Once that happened, things started to unravel. I wasn't able to see if something had pushed that Montana of, I forget who it was.
Shadow Wolfish.
Shadow Wolfish's Montana. Shadow Wolfish's Montana. I have to ask him how to pronounce that later. Was there? Can you guys? Can you think of a reason why he was doing that? Was he just trying to bloop John the Ruthless's Salem through the nose? Would you think that was his intention?
That is what it is. I mean, if you actually look back at the match, I mean, KSC overcommitted to A. 07 overcommitted to C. They decided this is our flank, this is the one that we want, and that's exactly how it played out. KSC was able to take A, 07 was able to assert dominance in Charlie. And with the trades that happened in Bravo, the trades that happened in Charlie as well, it was a whole lot of playing safe for KSC. The Marceau of, I believe it was Serpent Lord, got ripped down all the way down to a quarter left of his health before he was just forced to abandon the cap. Now, that Montana of Shadow was all the way up, like sitting there basically in spawn. I'm not exactly sure what that was for, maybe trying to make use of the long range. But when they realized our Marceau cannot contest, our Goliath can kind of get in there and get chewed up a little bit, but we need the guns to get in here to start moving this Salem. And it took, not 2 minutes, not 3 minutes, not 4. I mean, it took almost 5 minutes to get the Montana into play onto the 10 line, throwing shells into the Salem, which was it was a long time. The Goliath took a lot of damage before the Montana was able to show up. I mean, trades everywhere. Trades were so huge in this match. The trades at Bravo, we saw the Des Moines get hurt going in. The trades at Charlie, we saw the Serpent Lord getting wrecked. Then we saw the Goliath getting chipped. Then we saw the Montana getting burned down. 07 is a master at trading. And that is exactly what they did over the course of the length of this match until finally something broke at Charlie. And as soon as it did, that swung into their favor and they just kept it locked down. And really, once they had that, they started moving their assets over to Bravo to lock even that down. Once KSC let it slip away from them, there was no way they were going to grab it back.
You're absolutely right that that 07 is a master of the long game. I think that is. They are notorious for letting things go a long ways. That's a different replay.
Yeah, that's going to be a different replay. That's a trap.
That's Hotspot. Right. Gentlemen, I'm going to ask you guys to let me know when they are ready in the game, because I had to close my client to avoid lag on my camera, because the potatoes that power my computer can't handle too much action, apparently.
Currently, it looks like 07 is still switching around a few ships and getting set up for the next match, which is going to be on Northern Waters. That's the next one that we're going to be moving into.
Here we go.
And we've got the replay. Nice.
We've got the replay. We're going to try and have that. It takes a minute for the replays to come in, folks, so bear with us on that one. I do want to highlight that this was the first I've seen so far in the tournament, after at least within the round of 16. I have not seen until now a Ragnar. I was not sure whether this was going to be considered a competitive boat or not. The Ragnar, as many of you know, is an absolute damage farming monster in randoms. I really didn't know how it would stand up in the face of things when there are boats like Marceaus. If you want a gunboat, you've got the Marceau. It still works pretty well. If you want speed and you want firepower and you want health. But it seemed like it did okay. It was actually played kind of up close, almost like a discount Smalland, I suppose, as the Smalland is not allowed in this tournament. So what are your thoughts? Did you feel like the Ragnar had a major impact?
In this one, no, because the Ragnar was kept at bay. So KSC made, They took half that ship. They just ripped it out of the Des Moines and said, we really want this position. And they got the Des Moines into Bravo. They got hurt for it, but they did. And the Ragnar that was in Bravo was able to keep the threat of, I can radar you, Z52. If you want to take this cap, I'm going to check you. And the Des Moines really didn't have a lot of room to move around to get his guns on those DDs. So the Z52 was kind of left alone there. Outside of that, the Ragnar is just kind of a consistent threat. And you saw as the Ragnar was able to work on the Kremlin that was north of Bravo, just chucking those shells in, that 30 millimeter pen, not enough to pen a Kremlin, but certainly enough to be annoying. As, maybe he takes one shell here, one shell there, gets slightly chipped, but he's able to juke and dodge and kind of just be a presence. As we see here, when you look at this, there was a huge hit over at A that I have to point out. Floops' gearing on KSC threw some torpedoes, and the Shimakaze of Fryce did actually eat one. The reason why I point this out, it felt almost like KSC rotated assets away from A as they were trying to consolidate the rest of the map. And when that happened, it felt like Fryce was really trying to move up with that Shimakaze, get some spotting, and actually start pressuring the A cap. And then took a torp, couldn't do it. Couldn't move into visual range of the gearing because if he got spotted, he didn't have enough health to be able to withstand the fire. So he had to play safe. 07 had to play safe. And that's where they really just had to make those plays happen over at Charlie, which ultimately they did.
Which they did. Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and talk about the upcoming map. I think it was, you said Northern Waters, correct?
I
have it right here.
Northern Waters. That is correct.
Northern Waters. Okay. So maybe we can ask production to pull that up for us. There it is. And so Northern Waters, like you were saying earlier when we were talking about the maps, very interesting as the 3 cap zones each have a very, very different play style sort of needed in order to actually contest these caps. The A cap oftentimes we'll see 2 smoke trains that are hiding cruisers like Nevsky's or Venezia's, which are both banned, by the way. But Des Moines, like in this case, we saw Hitaki Hiyoshi's Des Moines gets smoked in by a Z52 to help him get into position properly. Took a little bit for his troubles, as we recall, but ACAP oftentimes devolving into sort of like a blind firing smoke slugfest, punctuated by long range torpedoes. The B cap very interesting as it does have that island in the center, which means, as you and I always used to say, 2 destroyers can park there and yell at each other over the fence, right?
Oh, yes. They can do the mating dance.
That's right, the destroyer mating dance across the fence. And then C-Cap, of course, being in the center of a bunch of small islands, meaning it is possible for a couple of small or light, medium cruisers to actually park their way into those areas and abuse those islands, but still risky as you can get yourself blapped. This is one of those maps where long-range battleships will punish you from across the map if you are not careful.
Okay. I have to wonder what they're going to bring to the table on this. Moskva, Stalingrad, something that's just going to be able to park in Bravo and hold it down. I've seen times where people are just, they're going to throw the sacrificial DD. They're going to have one DD in Bravo on one side, one DD in Bravo on the other side. They're just going to do the mating dance. They're going to sit there staring at each other, proxy detected or not, for however, like the first 10, 15 minutes before somebody gets a little antsy and starts wanting to make a play. But I have seen the occasional team that's going to stick a Moskva on one of those rocks that's going to have some radar pressure and have, instead of the possibility of a DD YOLO, the actual health pool and threat of a cruiser. And if they don't have to worry about something on the side, if their team claims one side or the other side, they can start to move forward and really aggressively take that cap and free up the destroyer. As with always, the more destroyers you have at your disposal, the more map influence you can pull. So if they can actually take that DD out of Bravo and start moving it over as a surprise push at A, surprise push at Charlie, that can be a late game surprise that nobody's really ready for. Definitely looking to see if that's going to be a thing. So
absolutely. I'm interested to see if anybody brings a Z52 specifically to deal with that island, as I believe the range on the hydroacoustic search of the Z52, if you are parked on the north side of that B island, I believe it reaches just to the edge of the cap circle, allowing you to essentially zone out that cap to the enemy completely. I'm not sure if it's the same from both sides. I don't know if there's a slight variance in the way the island is set up or whether it's positioned, but we'll have to see if somebody does there. The Z52 actually worked out pretty decently for KSC on the B cap in Islands of Ice. I'm not quite sure why they brought it to Islands of Ice other than to just add an extra visual threat or informational threat, I guess we should say, there in the center. But I don't recall that actually having a whole lot of influence on the match because it's not as if it can go toe to toe with a Ragnar.
Ragnar is a beast. I don't know if you actually got to see this on the first day where casting this. There was a Ragnar that literally had 3 million potential damage, soloed a Wooster at range. After soloing a Wooster, killed a half-dead Marceau and a half-dead Gearing that came over to surprise gank him. Like, it cannot be understated how powerful the Ragnar surprise and just throw weight is. Further, at that point in the tournament, the Ragnar was known to be a strong pick, but people didn't really know the depths of the Ragnar, anti-Ragnar play. Because of the Ragnar's prominence, however, people have taken their gunboat DDs, their Marceaus and stuff, and started adding IFHE. Now, what does that mean? It gives it a little additional HE pen because that's going to breach the 25 mil armor on the Ragnar, and it was felt to be so extremely important that you could not rely on AP that's going to be 4 commander points that are pulled out of a build and moved elsewhere. So it's very possible that many or most of the DDs that we're going to see today are running IFHE just as an in case, because they might trip across a Ragnar, and that could be pulling down their offensive capabilities throughout the duration of the match.
Very interesting, because so folks, for those of you who don't know, the Ragnar has basically the hull is about 25 millimeters of plate across most of the hull. 25 millimeters may not seem like a whole lot, but on a destroyer, what it means is that the HE shells of most other destroyers will not penetrate the deck or the hull of the Ragnar. That means, like, now a Z52, for example, it can. It has that special German quarter pen on its HE. It will penetrate the Ragnar no matter where it hits. However, I believe even a Marceau, for example, if it tries to go toe to toe with a Ragnar, most of its shells are going to shatter on the side. The only real ways you have to deal with that is, frankly, you have to shoot AP at it if it's angled not well enough, or you have to shoot either the you have to shoot either at the bow or the stern, I believe is where we have that.
Bow, stern, you've got, I think, the 19 mil standard plating. And then also, I think it's, 13 millimeter plating on the superstructure. So it's not that it can't take damage. It's just that when you're shooting, you're often shooting center of mass. You just want to hit the thing, right? You want to do some damage to it. And just landing those shells, unfortunately, doesn't actually result in damage all the time. But as I said, people have kind of wised up to that. Well, it does look like we have just a few things going on in the background. So why don't we take just a moment to talk about Twitch drops? So this channel, as well as other casters' channel, for I believe this weekend, if you watch for 90 minutes of this channel or anybody that has the drops enabled, you're going to be able to earn a mission. That mission, when you complete it in game, is going to give you 2 KOTS containers. Now, the KOTS containers have been around for, I believe, 3 seasons at this point. Mm-hmm. So because of that, there are many people that have actually completed the set. They've completed all the pictures and stuff and gotten their coolness. Now, if you get an additional container after you have completed it, so if you completed it previously, if you completed during this weekend, you will get, I think it's a special mission where you can earn something for the North Carolina in the next patch.
Yes, I can clarify. So there's been a lot of confusion about this, folks. So let me see if I can help this a little bit. The way that you can get your hands on the very cool King of the Sea camouflage for the North Carolina, it's called Bane of the Seas. It's a specific camouflage made for the North Carolina or KOTS. It will come as a personal mission that will arrive and be ready for you in your port when patch 0.10.10 drops. Now, the way you get this mission is you have to complete your King of the Sea collection. It means I believe it's 16. Yeah, it's 16 items. They are 1-to-1 duplicates, so you only need 16 containers total. You do not need multiples to create a duplicate. Mm-hmm. And then, to get the mission, to get the North Carolina camo, you need 1 further item from the collection. So you need 1 extra KOTS container. Now, you can pick up 3 this weekend from this, just from watching the stream, I believe
2.
You can pick up
2 from the mission.
You can get 3 from the armory for community tokens. You can pick up 3 of those. So if you have already completed your collection and you want to take care of it right now, you can go right now to the armory and pick that up. So
yes, you can. Well, just a bit of an
you can see, right? You can see the timer.
Just a bit of an update. So it does look like the match has come underway, and we're going to be transitioning over to the game right now.